And now, to kick us off, we have a chance to hear from two incredible young women here with me today to discuss why and how we need to work with leaders to unlock the future. Joining us is Muzoon Almellehan, a Syrian refugee who was forced to flee from her home country at the age of just 13. She is an education activist and has been a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador since 2017. And I'd also like to introduce you to Hilda Nakabuye, a Ugandan climate and environmental rights activist who founded the incredible Ugandan Fridays for the Future movement. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today to talk about what leaders can and should be doing to unlock the future. You're both such inspirational women and doing so much to fight for the rights of young people. With all of that, let's get started. I don't think we can have this conversation without talking about what's been happening over the past year or so. Young people from across the world have been hit hard by the pandemic, and as you know, the frequency of crises like this is only going to increase as global temperatures rise. What impact do you think this will have on the prospects and futures of young people? Muzoon, perhaps you can kick us off?
First of all, thank you so much, Ish, and it's such a great pleasure to be here with all of you. Definitely, young people have been suffering so much in the past years, and they are still suffering from different, actually, crises because we have conflicts, we have climate change, we have lack of opportunities such as education. So all these obstacles prevent young people to play a vital role in their societies. But despite all of this, they are doing their part and they are trying their best basically to fight these challenges. They raise their voices, they don't give up. They also want the world to hear their voices and their messages. So I think the impact will be, really negative, and it will lead to many disasters if we don't act seriously to stop these challenges. We have to start with real, actually, and decisive actions to end all these obstacles. And of course, young people are a great part of this. We cannot ignore them. They must be on the table. It should be the normal, not the exception, basically, because young people, they have solutions and they can offer ideas to make this world a better place to all of us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Muzoon. And I think you're right. Regardless of where young people are in the world, we do have these kind of common problems. And really good point. Hilda?
Yes, thank you so much for having me here today and for having me to share with the other people on the other side of the of the world. And I totally agree with what Muzoon is saying, because we young people are the future. We will be creating the future generations, and we bear this responsibility amidst the crises that we are facing right now. We are at crossroads with the COVID-19 pandemic, and of course with the greatest challenge that humanity is facing, and that is climate change. And this is really big for us youth, because in most cases we are not included in or climate action plans that are actually made for us youth or for the future generations. So this inclusion is limiting us from participating in such crucial discussions that take place in, closed rooms without our know. And this will not only affect us, but also the coming generations. So we are not able to give or to air out our ideas or recommendations about a future we want, whether we want it sustainable or with fossil fuels. And we therefore are limited. And also we youth are not given space in organizing, especially at national level and international level. So that is why we youth globally are standing up and creating our own groups and mobilizations to see that we are also included, that our ideas also, because we right now are mobilizing, we are organizing, we are creating community outreaches. We are gathering, we are having these climate strikes and these activities that we are doing that will help us have a safer future. but this is being limited by the COVID-19 pandemic, as we have restrictions in transport and social distancing, social gatherings. But we are not giving up. We are taking further steps to have these online actions that we are doing, either at our homes or in small numbers, with following the necessary protection by the standard operating procedures that are put out by the government. And we are trying our best to communicate that we need to be included in decision-making plans and also climate action plans, because we are the ones who will suffer the most from an unsafe future that world leaders are trying to plan right now without us.
Yeah, I think that's completely right, Hilda. And I think you raised two really important points there. First is the kind of absurdity of the fact that we're the ones that are going to be inheriting this planet, but we aren't the ones that are making the decisions. And the second one is that just young people have really proved over the past year how determined they are to continue mobilizing, even in the midst of something like a pandemic. Muzoon, do you have anything else to add to that? How, in your experiences, are young people fighting back even when governments are slow to act or in some cases silencing them?
I think, like, despite all the positions, when young people are disappointed, they speak. I think using their voices is one of the biggest ways young people are fighting back and doing what they can. Because I think as young people, our greatest weapon we are using is our voices to just raise awareness about what we are facing, and also raise awareness about what other young people are suffering in other parts of the world. This is one of the things they are doing, but also they are leading campaigns, they do advocacy work, they are demonstrating, they also speak in important events like the one that we are talking in it right now, this Unlock the Future of young people to be more active in the world and to be part of the solution, not only part of the problem or part of the impact. So yes, our voices are strong and we believe in our voices, and this is what we have to offer to the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think you've done a really great job of highlighting that young people will be persistent even in the face of challenges like a pandemic, which really just raises the question of why isn't change happening then? And I think, unfortunately, this kind of falls to the sort of inaction of leaders. So I have one final question for you. This week, the world's leaders are gathering in New York for the UN General Assembly. So do you both have a message to them as we mobilize to unlock the future? Hilda, perhaps you could get us started?
Well, yes, I have a message for world leaders, and my fellow activists have been saying the same message to world leaders for centuries now, but this inaction is keeping on, and leaders are keeping it up. So first of all, I would like to applaud leaders, 76 meetings that they have been holding. For all this while, it's really a lot of time of meet and greet, but no concrete action is being taken. Yet people, ecosystems, and the biodiversity it's extincting, and we are living in times of horror. This is the time where I expect leaders to leave their misunderstanding behind and come together and fight crises we are facing in this generation as one. Because for generations, indigenous people and marginalized communities have been fighting and battling with the climate crisis, but still no action, no concrete action is being taken. So my message is that we need our leaders to put on their big boy pants, to stand up and to take concrete climate action. And this should be global and intersect, because this is what the world needs. We need to recover. We need to change the system that we are living in right now. And my last message, I would say, is that for so long, we have let us down, but this is the time where show us we are capable of changing the system that we are in, because the change is needed and we need this change right now.
Yeah, thank you so much for such a powerful message, Hilda. I just don't really have that much more to add. So Muzoon, over to you.
I think this is a really important question, and it was really great to hear the wise words by Hilda. She has highlighted really important points, and it is really important for world leaders to take decisive actions because it is time for actions. Of course, it is really important for them to meet, to talk, to share awareness and knowledge about what is going on in the world. But of course, it is time to hear from them real actions on the ground because the challenges are too many and they are increasing, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen education, for example, has been really affected because millions of children around the world, they couldn't catch up with their learning because they don't have access to remote learning, they don't have internet, they don't have computers, they don't have laptops, they don't have all these facilities basically to learn online. I have been suffering really so much studying online, for example, but thankfully I was able to continue my education. But at the same time, I was thinking about millions who cannot learn during a crisis like COVID-19 pandemic. So it is time to hear from them alternative ways for children to be able to learn when it comes to a crisis like COVID-19 and any challenge they face, because they must go to school and they deserve to learn at any circumstances and under any challenge they have in their lives. So not only about education, but any challenge that is facing us, it is time for world leaders to unite, to work together, to put their disagreement aside and to show us they can really change our lives for better, because we want to hear positive change in the lives of children, and we don't want to hear more suffering and obstacles that children and young people are facing. So I hope after their meetings in the General Assembly, we hear what they are going to do on the ground, because this is what we want to hear from them. And I wish them all the best in their meetings, and looking forward for a better future for every child and young person in the world.
Yeah, thank you both for just such poignant and resounding calls to action. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, lots of governments are actually reducing spending in education while they need to be increasing it. And of course, the clock is ticking to address the planetary emergency. But to both of you, unfortunately, we are out of time. So thank you so much for giving up your time to be here. I think you've done a really fantastic job of highlighting the risks of failing to act urgently for young people. And you provided some really concrete suggestions as to how leaders can actually start to unlock the future. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too.